Hello again, everybody, with Hall of Famer Randy Peterson and Kimberly Pressler. I'm Dave Lamont, filling in today for Rob Stone. Well, there he is again.
Okay, so I'm finally ready to start working on monitors again. I know a lot of you have probably been going through withdrawals, maybe not, I don't know, but it's just been an absolute crazy mess the last 6 weeks or so, trying to get everything moved in the arcade, get the new arcade set up, get everything running smoothly, get all that stuff going, and you know, it's just been crazy, and it's finally dying down. Things are going well. The machine has now been oiled and it's running smoothly. So it's time to get back to working on monitors. Now, I will say that I had to move all of my previous Workbench and setup and everything up to the new location because I had originally expected to be able to do all this stuff up there, but the little workshop that I had after moving all this stuff up there, it's just not going to work because the soda machine's in there. Not the machine, but the rack with all the soda syrup on it, and every 5 seconds it goes psst and all that. So that's hindrance number one. Hindrance number two is that every 5 seconds an employee comes in there trying to get, you know, reserves of something that we have stockpiled in there, and it's being used for storage, and I keep getting interrupted, and there's just no real way to make videos from the new location like I was expecting to. Plus, there's not any room to store my spare monitors and tubes that I need for testing up there. So back at the house we go. I had to buy this Workbench off Amazon and then add all this stuff to it. I had to get some 3/4 inch MDF and build this little shelf, the side pieces, the back piece, the top panel to put everything back on. But it's all set and ready to go. I got a new mat, but everything is here. We got the desoldering station, the hot air station, the soldering station, all of my tools and accoutrements over there with the it's been too long here. The fume extractor, I tell you, we got a little fan for fumes and stuff. The overhead camera is attached to this here, so it's nice and secure. I'm using my iPhone here to record, so the handheld modes will now be done with the iPhone. I can leave the overhead camera attached to the overhead. I have my 13-inch K7000 here that I got new old stock a number of years ago. That's what we've been using. We're going to keep using it. New power supply. I got a new isolation transformer, brand new JAMA harness, and I wired it all up to where you flip the switch here and it turns everything on. Underneath here, I have created, there is a hole here for the connector for the monitor up top here, so I can plug it in and test when I need to, and when I'm not actually working on other monitors here. So I created a brand new wiring setup here. So we've got our main connector here with the 3 most commonly used connections that we can use to hook up various monitors. And then I have a brand new connector here for the brand new JAMA harness that we can use to plug into the monitors. And it all comes out of this hole right here. So, and then I also went through and made some, I made these wires extra long, so I can actually attach these to the monitor and turn it on the rotisserie. I did not have enough height previously on the previous Workbench to be able to put a 25-inch monitor on here and turn it on the rotisserie that a viewer had sent me. But now I do, so I made these extra long so I can actually hook these up and spin it around and make some adjustments and stuff if I need to, and then spin it back around this way. So it's much more handy to be able to do this now that I have the longer cables. And then I also went through and made my own set of my own alligator clip leads here. So these are the ones I was using, these cheap like 26 gauge wire ones, and I used some 18 gauge speaker wire here and made my own longer alligator clip leads that we can use for doing light bulb tests and things like that. So we got some better equipment here going on, and we'll go ahead and hang these back up on this hook here. So that's the idea behind this, and there's not really much else to go over. I mean, I've got the outlet strip here with the overhead light, and the way it works is I think it's, I'm not sure. They go over, all the wires go over here and then back around to the top. But I have the power from the outlet here going, it's split. One lead is going to the isolation transformer directly. The other lead actually is running to the switch, and then the output of the switch runs back over to the isolation transformer. So when I flip this switch, it's basically interrupting the hot of the AC. So the hot side of the AC comes through this, it turns everything on. So you can see here, if I was to connect my connector here to the overhead monitor, like so, then I take this, and this will just go around to the side, and I can plug it in directly right here. And then my controls, I don't need a control panel because I have this Super Nintendo interface here, and I can just use a Super Nintendo controller. So it's up, down, left, right, select is coin, start is start, and then it's button 1, button 2, button 3. So button 1 is Y, button 2 is X, button 3 is A. So I can use this to test games and stuff, and when I'm not using it, it just sits right there. And that's basically everything here. So if I was to flip this switch on, here you go. Got a trusty MK1 board here. There you have it. So that's how that works, just like it did before. We'll turn this off again. And I've got the wires here charging for the camera. Normally this wouldn't be running up. It's just plugged in here, and I put the excess wire back behind there, and it runs up here to the camera. So if we turn the overhead camera on, you can see that it's nice and bright. So I like this light. I guess like 2600 lumen or something, and it makes this nice and illuminated, and everything should work out just fine. So we're ready to start making videos again. So sorry about the delay. And I got this little fan here to help blow fumes when the extractor's not needed, things like that. So we got this going. Now under here, I've got my old control panel that we don't need anymore, but I have the power supply and isolation transformer that puts out 100 volts for testing the Sanyo and the Sharp XM monitors. All my cap kits, some extra monitor parts in there, and then 2 full boxes of flybacks that I need to test for Peter at Arcade Parts and Repair that have been on the back burner these last 6 weeks or so because of the arcade movement. And a whole nother bag here. So I've got 2 complete boxes and a giant pink bag full of flybacks that I have to test for Peter. And these down here are my good ones that I've been using, my extra stock. But that giant pink bag and these 2 big boxes are all flybacks that need testing. And we're finally going to be able to get back to doing it. I have a little bit more width here than I had before on the previous setup. However, this is not as wide. The original Workbench went all the way to the side of this file cabinet, all the way over here to the closet door, basically. So I'm losing about 1.5 feet or so of width, but you know, at least now I can put my trash can over here out of the way, and I don't really need the width when it comes to working on stuff. It'd be nice to be able to have this stuff kind of more over, so I had a complete workstation here without having stuff on the mat. But for now, this will work just fine. I thought about making a couple of shelves here, put a shelf here to put this stuff up on the shelf so I have more room here, but I think for now it'll be just fine. So that's basically it. I think the first monitor we're going to work on is a K7000. A friend up in Kansas City brought me down, I think, 6 or 7 monitors, and one of them is a K7000 out of his Mortal Kombat 2, and it was working but needed caps, so he capped it. After he capped it, it didn't work anymore. So I think that'll be the first one we're going to work on, because he asked me to get that done as soon as I could. So I think we're going to start with that. But for now, just a quick overview video here of the new test rig and the new setup and how everything's, you know, how it's all set up. So also over here, I kind of forgot to mention, I've got a couple of boards here for testing if I don't have the MK1 or it craps out. 16-1 for VGA testing if we're doing some digital monitors and things. Plenty of ROMs and stuff for working on PCBs. Contact cleaner, a big case of connectors and wires. I've got a stockpile here of capacitors and other stuff, yeah. An old hard drive from Mega Touch games, some wires here to make bodges with. Sockets, that's the word I was looking for. We got a bunch of sockets and all of my extra capacitors and parts and things for, let's see, I don't know if you can see it down here, but I got a special thing for K7000 and G07 and K4900. And I got Amplifone parts and 7475, D2000, U5000, D9200s, and various things. So plenty of stuff on hand. I did make another order from Peter for, I think I got 10 or 11 or 12 or so of these connectors. Come on off of there, there we go. Of these connectors, I'm gonna make a new pigtail for the test pattern generator where there's gonna be one of these on each end, about, I don't know, 2 feet or so. So I have a new pigtail to go on here and then to the monitor, so there'll be a pigtail with one of these on each end. And I'm also going to make a pigtail with this on one end. The other end, I'm going to have a connector where it's just the RGB ground, and then the sync will be jumpered over for testing G07 monitors. So I'll be making some pigtails and some better test setups than I had previously. So stay tuned for that. I'll show those off when that gets done. But for now, you know, normally this stuff will just sit like, oh, I got that on backwards there. This stuff will just kind of normally sit like so, up and out of the way when I'm not doing stuff. So that's it. That's the new station. That's how it looks. A good overview. Nice big area to be able to do stuff. I wish it was slightly wider, but them's the breaks. This is the 5-foot station, is the widest that I could find that wasn't too wide. So, but yeah, there you go. So stay tuned. I'll get working on that K7000 right now, but that'll be a separate video posted after this one, probably tomorrow or the next day. So stay tuned. I appreciate it. Again, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see how that 7000 turns out on the next video.